Hey everyone, Ryan here, or M&R Productions, with my review of the 2013 LEGO Star Wars Rancor Pit. And I just want to thank Jabba, aka Brixar, for gifting me this set a couple years ago. I've had it sitting around for quite a while, and I'm really excited to open it and review it in today's video. So, its set number is 75005, obviously the name Rancor Pit, with 380 pieces. When it released on January 1st, 2013, it retailed for $60, adjusted for inflation in today's money. That's a tad over $70. However, if you want a new and sealed box version of this set on eBay today, it's going to cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of $250. This thing shot up in price, mostly because it has the Rancor, and the Rancor has not been in another set ever. This is the only way you could ever get the Rancor, so that is by far the primary driving factor behind the price of this thing. But on the top, it shows you the characters that we get in the set, which is a pretty good character selection, I would say. Got some side box art, and then around back you're going to see all the features of the Rancor Pit, which there are quite a few, and I'm very excited to see how well they work, as this, like I said, is a set I've never personally experienced for myself in hand. Shows the Rancor kind of taken apart down below, and then something really cool about the set is that it could actually combine with a set from the summer of 2012 in Jabba's Palace. So when that Jabba's Palace came out, nobody really knew that the Rancor Pit was coming, but when the Rancor Pit came out, it made that Jabba's Palace set all the better. So pretty cool that you could have the combo of both sets, but they also both worked really fine on their own. I think this set less so than Jabba's Palace. Jabba's Palace, a great standalone kind of display set, but this one still was a fine set to own on its own for the Rancor alone. Unboxing old sets is always so much fun, but it also kind of hurts in a way to cut seals that haven't been cut after a decade. Like, part of me always just wants to leave it sealed. The Rancor appears to come in its own separated bag, which was pretty common for big animals like this, I would say. And then it looks like we have up to 4 numbered bags, as well as another random bag of parts. I always wonder why big parts like this just come in a big bag. Why not have them separated like they should be? And then the instruction manual, a little bent, but it looks like this one should go back pretty easily. It's a pretty big instruction manual. And because nostalgia is always great, here's the other January 2013 sets, of which I actually owned all of, except for the Rancor Pit. So here we are 9 years later, and I finally get to own the Rancor Pit. Thank you, Brixar. While LEGO doesn't officially recognize it as a minifigure in the set, the skeleton is certainly included, and I would call it a minifigure. It definitely has the general shape, and it even uses a printed minifigure head to achieve the look of skeleton. Very nice touch for something you'll find inside the Rancor Pit later in the review. Our Episode 6 Luke Skywalker comes with a giant bone piece, which he'll use to stick inside the Rancor's mouth to ultimately help him defeat it. He's got a very nice outfit, printed both front and back, and you can see he does have a double-sided face, as beneath the blonde hair you could see the mouth, and there's that facial expression, 1 and 2, like so. I really prefer this angrier look that I have on him now, but yeah, very nice Luke Skywalker minifig for the set. The Gamorrean Guard is low-key one of the best minifigures LEGO Star Wars has ever released. It is so beautifully detailed and designed with so many faithful details. I love this thing. It's even got a little bit of leg printing, and you can see even the hip piece in between is printed with a bit of that ripped fabric. It's fantastic, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why this one doesn't get talked about more as one of the best minifigs LEGO makes, but it really is. You can see this is all basically one piece, kind of like Chewbacca, which I think most people are familiar with how the LEGO Chewbacca minifigure works, but man, this is incredible. And the final minifigure is a figure we've only ever had in this set, and it's Mala Keeley, the Rancor keeper, shirtless as he is, and looking a little bit chubby, overweight, and they've done a great job translating that into the LEGO minifigure. The legs definitely look odd to me. I feel like they could have used a little print or something. I don't know why, they just look out of place, but he's got his brown hood, and then if we remove that, you'll be able to get a better idea of what his face looks like underneath there, and he does have a second facial expression for when the Rancor dies, because he, of course, cries and does all his thing, but he looks like he's got a scythe, which I really like. I think that's pretty cool. It's not the best LEGO scythe ever, but that's definitely what it looks like to me. Overall, an amazing exclusive figure, though, and that rounds out our minifigs in the set. The Rancor really puts the big in big fig for LEGO. They make big minifigures like Thanos here, but the Rancor is really a step above that. It's so much larger than what I think most people consider to be normal for a big fig, and they're not all too common in LEGO Star Wars, to be fair, but in this case, it is absolutely massive, and I'll bring in a Gamorrean card to give you a real idea of the size there. I mean, it's just huge. And this is an incredibly faithful recreation of the Rancor. It's got a lot of the bumps and scales on him. They've got the articulation for the arms and the hands and the fingers, so we'll be able to grab onto characters. I'll show you in a moment. Maybe the biggest downside is the lack of articulation on the legs here. They just don't move, but they do have open studs on the bottom, so that if you have like a base plate or something, you can connect this to that base plate. You don't have to worry about it falling off. He does have like one handcuff kind of broken off here with the chain, so you can see he's just kind of freely roaming, although you could, I guess, attach this to the wall of the pit or something, and then he's kind of stuck there, and he can't go anywhere, so that's kind of cool. But the deal is the hand is basically a little farther on this right side than it is on the left side, because this is basically just another piece stuck between the end of the arm and the beginning of the hand, whereas you don't have that on this side. But man, these arms are massive. You can see they go real high above him when we lift them up. Let's see if we can zoom out farther. Yeah, so you can see very, very high reach on the Rancor, and the insides of the arms are hollow, which allows it to weigh less and use less plastic for LEGO, thus saving money. But this Rancor is a big part of the reason the set was $60 when it came out. Not to mention the build is a pretty substantial build with a lot of big bulky pieces. We'll get into the build a little bit more in a minute, but his Rancor alone was probably $20 of that $60 price. So you can see as far as printing goes, the eyes are printed. You get the nostrils there. Very scary look, dead on. And then the mouth with the teeth in tan, kind of an off-white color, definitely not white. And you can actually open the mouth, and then it will close back up if you push back on it. So you can have him eat, I don't know, we'll bring in the skeleton here. The whole skeleton should fit in his mouth just like that. And then you can close it up, and it's completely swallowed by the Rancor. It's actually insane. I wonder if he can fit the Gamorrean guard. So on the back of the box, it just shows the Gamorrean guard like half in the mouth. So let's see. It's probably going to be the same experience here if we can't get him completely in there. Yeah, it looks like he won't get completely in there, but you can close him up and have the Gamorrean guard's legs kind of sticking out, and that looks like a lot of fun, man. That's crazy cool. I didn't realize how cool this Rancor was. That mouth is huge. If I shine a light on it here, you'll get a much better idea of how much empty space there is in there. It's just a big cavity. And I would be remiss if I didn't show you a character being held by the Rancor, whose fingers can grip pretty tightly around a minifig, so you can hold it right up to the mouth like that. It's quite a look, man. This is probably the coolest big figure that LEGO Star Wars has. Like, I know the Dewback is good, and there's a lot of good ones, but like what this thing can do is really awesome. The actual Rancor Pit isn't quite a looker. It's a great build for a playset, but it's not a great display piece by any stretch of the imagination. There's certainly better options, although no other options with a Rancor, so of course, I mean, if you want that, you gotta have this. But the worst part of this, I would say, sticks out like a sore thumb front and center. It's this red beam piece. I just don't understand why it needed to be in red. I think it's pretty obvious what this does, and maybe kids are dumber than I'm giving them credit for, but like, I feel like a kid doesn't need that to be red to figure out that it's how you hold up the very large gate at the front of the build, which is a little bit finicky. Like, it's not completely held on its tracks 100% of the time, so it can come right off when you have it at its highest point. You can see I can shake it a little bit and it actually will stay in place, which is nice, but you can pull it out really easily, which can be a bit annoying. And if you want to take the Rancor and place him down on the front of it like so, you can recreate the scene in episode 6 where the Rancor is crushed by the gate, which is amazing that they've built in the ability to recreate that. And it's also really nice just up front here, unlike the Wampa Cave in the UCS Assault on Hoth set, the Rancor can actually fit through the entrance of its own cave or pit or whatever. Like, that's something that I guess you can't take for granted in LEGO Star Wars sets because they don't always allow that to happen. So it's really nice that the build here is big enough on all four sides at that to accommodate that. So all you have to do to drop the big gate piece down, which is a really nice gate piece, by the way, is pull out on this red lever piece. See if I can get that back in straight. There you go. And it's going to drop down right onto him. Now, a little bit anticlimactic, as it doesn't actually crush the Rancor all the way down to the ground and kill it like it does in Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, but the thoughts there, which is nice. I think it does actually work a bit better if you take the Rancor off the studs. I just did it how they showed it on the back of the box there. Take the Rancor off the studs and then like lay it down or something. I think it looks a bit cooler where it can come down a bit farther and it actually looks like the Rancor has been forced down like that. Now, if opening the front gate isn't for you, there is a second option to get a pretty big gaping hole in this thing, and that is literally just pulling these two sections apart. There's just a clip right there. Here's the other side of the clip, and you can keep them attached and they stay attached pretty well, but if you want to pull them apart, it gives you a really big, easy access to the inside of the Rancor pit to go ahead and pull the Rancor out, or to use this door just completely detached in a way. Now, on the inside here, you can see it's just more of that same design, very rocky with a little bit of tan built into it, a little bit of gray. I really like that look. You do have the torches on the inside with fire. It would have been nice to get a light brick or something, but definitely can see why with the additional cost that would take that you couldn't in a set like this when you have such a massive cool Rancor. We've got a tool and a bucket for the Rancor keeper, who's currently dead on the floor, and then we also have the key, which is nice, but like it's kind of weird because the entrance to the Rancor pit doesn't need a key. It needs just like a tap or something. I'm not sure. It's just a big button. Although I guess the key would be more useful for the door right next to it. So maybe I'm a bit off there, although there's no key slot on the door. So the door here is just to allow the Rancor keeper easy access without having to open up the big door where the Rancor could get out while he's trying to like get in and feed him and do whatnot. So we've got a bucket here, or a big barrel, bin, whatever, where he can place a big chicken bone. So it comes with the chicken, and you can drop the chicken in there, which is nice. So that's kind of cool. That's how you can kind of feed the Rancor in a way. Get him in, get him out. You may have also noticed a second skeleton head on the backside here, and underneath that is another key and a bone. I presume there's another key in there as like a secret extra key in case someone needs to get out. That's the only thing I can assume that would be used for. And you can see that skeleton head, same as the one on the skeleton that we have over here. There's unfortunately not a particular spot for the skeleton in this set. There's nowhere like where he holds on or anything. So you can kind of just lay him anywhere or lay him on the ground on the inside, which I think is kind of what they show as the way to do it on the box. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed there's not like a handle or something for him to hold on to, because that's kind of what they've done with a skeleton in the past in the Wampa Cave. Now you may notice a couple hinges here that aren't on the other blocks, and what the deal with that is you basically have a hidden doorway, and inside of here you can place a minifig like Luke, and he can be hidden from the Rancor. Doesn't really matter where you place him, but he will fit in there, which is great. Let's see if we open this. We'll get a better angle of it closing like this. You can see, close that right up. Not going to be a problem for you, and he can close in. It's just like he's not even there, and it's not a realistic function of what happened in episode 6, but I don't think I or anyone else really minds a little exaggeration for an extra play feature like that, which, when not in use, doesn't actually take away from the looks of the thing. It's not like they've added on a big stud shooter or flick fire missile to the side of the thing. That would look ridiculous, but something like that is really awesome. So as the back of the box said, this set does combine with the Jabba's Palace from the previous summer, and pardon the dust, this is not the one that I just got sealed in the box. I only have my dusty one around right now. Anyway, it's completely flat on the top of the Rancor pit, except for these particular pieces here, which are going to line up perfectly with some holes on the bottom of the Jabba's Palace here. So if we look under here, you can see there are some blank spots, and there's also probably a Jabba the Hutt out the back of this thing now. Yeah, there he is. So you get the point though. It's going to line up. So to place the palace on top, they show that you remove the side guard tower first. So we will detach that from the Jabba's Palace there for maybe the first time ever since I've had the set. And then you basically have two very similarly sized things with the palace and the pit, and you just line it up on top like so. It looks like it attaches very easily, and you can see with it on there, it's not the most beautiful look, but it does fit perfectly, and it's actually pretty heavy with everything there. I'm sure you could build up a mock that looks really beautiful with the full thing finished out, but for the price that LEGO is selling this at, they don't quite have that luxury. You'll notice an area in front of Jabba that's pretty perfect for Luke Skywalker to stand on, and so then you can pull out on this lever here on the side, and he will fall into the, or I guess out of the Rancor Pit if the Rancor's in the way, but then he can have his fight with the Rancor there. So I think it's a pretty cool way to combine two sets. They don't do things like this often for LEGO Star Wars, but for this particular case, it works wonderfully. For no particular reason, I always just kind of assumed this was a bad LEGO Star Wars set. I guess me of 2013 also found $60 to be repulsive, and I still kind of do, but like, it's not that bad. $60 was actually a fair price. Surprisingly so, LEGO tends to price their sets relatively fairly, like at least within the realm of what everything else costs for LEGO, and I don't have as much of a problem with this as I did when I was 16. A lot of factors change as you go from 16 to 24, though, I'd say. Like, obviously, I make a lot more money than when I was 16, so that helps make $60 not look like a billion, like it might have looked like when I was 16. But, I mean, still, man, I wish I'd given this set the time of day 9 years ago. I feel like I really passed it over, and I've wasted a lot of fun years, and now I can appreciate it. Now I can appreciate how truly great this one is, how amazing the Rancor is. It might be the best big fig for LEGO Star Wars ever. It's quite frankly incredible. And we also have the Gamorrean Guard and the Rancor Keeper. Nice skeleton and Luke Skywalker, but I mean, man, the Rancor steals the show here. And the pit is not a looker, but functionally, it is great. It's got some great play features for kids, and it combines very nicely with that Jabba's Palace from just 6 months earlier from LEGO Star Wars. I mean, this is just an amazing set, and honestly, super underrated at this point. But I give it a 8.5 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and you can check out more 2013 LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.